An independent candidate from the left has won Ireland's presidential election by a landslide. Connolly received over 63% of the vote, more than twice that of her only rival, Heather Humphreys. She also secured the highest number of first preference votes in the history of Irish presidential elections. Connolly is a strong critic of both the European Union and of Israel. Thomas Leahy is a senior lecturer in British and Irish politics at Cardiff University here in the UK. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. And first of all, your thoughts really on Connolly's historic victory. Did the scale of her victory surprise you at all?
Good afternoon. Yes, I think it surprised myself, and I think for various commentators, just because this was a candidate that various different left-wing parties, the largest one is a party called Sinn Féin, an Irish Republican party that some viewers might be aware historically was linked to the Irish Republican Army, the IRA, campaign against British rule. That party is now the kind of largest left party in the Republic of Ireland's politics. And then lots of the other smaller parties backed this candidate. And yes, she won by a considerable margin compared to particularly the centre-right parties that currently prop the main government in place, so Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. So it was a sizable victory, yeah, and it was quite surprising the kind of the scope of that victory and how significantly large it was.
And what do you think we can read into it? There, of course, have been huge social changes in Ireland in recent years, such as the legalisation of same-sex marriage. Do you see this political result as part of a wider shift, a societal shift and political shift, perhaps towards a more progressive direction?
Yeah, in some ways, yes. I think certainly on the progressive direction, yes, for the things that Connolly, the candidate and now the president, stands for. I think there's a couple of quite significant implications from this. So one is what this shows the left in Irish politics, Sinn Féin and the kind of smaller leftish parties and groups, is that when they came together to back one person and one candidate, they got success from that and worked together. Now, in Ireland's general elections, the next one wouldn't be till about 4 or 5 years' time. In 2020, 2024, the last two, Sinn Féin is the main left-wing party. It's actually performed very well, kind of dead level with the centre-right, right-wing parties, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. But the problem for them with the PR system is the two centre-right and right parties would go in together. So this is kind of a test run, if you like, to see that if the left-wing parties do work together, that can help in a proportional system to get more candidates elected and potentially form a government. And the second point I would say as well that Connolly is quite outspoken about things like Ireland's neutrality, sometimes has been a critic of the European Union, NATO, etc. So that's going to be interesting how that plays out, and that kind of showing that almost 50-50 split in the Irish population, different opinions about things like NATO, neutrality, whether they should keep it, etc. So yeah, I think that could have a significant impact on debates going forward in Irish politics.
And Connolly secured 63% of first preference votes. Now, that's the highest in Irish presidential history. What do you think that tells us about the political mood of the electorate right now? What was the turnout numbers? Are people really motivated for change?
So, yes, a couple of things here. So the turnout, in theory, looks fairly low, below 50%. Having said that, and there was a number of spoiled ballots as well, which has been reported quite widely in the Irish media and beyond. I would say with that, though, what complicated that is there was the left candidate, there was a lady called Heather Humphreys who stood for Fine Gael, one of the centre-right parties, and there was meant to be a candidate for Fianna Fáil on the right who was on the ballot paper, but they essentially just withdrew near the end of the process for various reasons, which I won't go into here. But I think that might have had an impact because actually the other centre-right candidate, that might be some of the reason for spoiled votes. So it's hard to read into that until we kind of get to the details. I think the thing that's significant here going forward is it does show, as I talked about already, the left in Irish politics can come together and they can, push forward their candidates and advance their own cause. And that might show, the next election in particular, that might kind of play through to see them challenge the right. The other thing I would say as well is that she's quite outspoken about the idea of Irish unification and wanting to move that forward, which is something particularly Sinn Féin and the left parties are interested in doing. The right-wing parties are not against it, but they don't think this is the right time. But I think that might give another voice that, there should be an Irish border poll, a unity poll, sooner rather than later, I would say, overall.
Thomas Leahy, many thanks indeed for joining us, filling us in on that election results in Ireland. Thomas Leahy, senior lecturer in British and Irish politics at the University of Cardiff.